that I really didn't care about shit else. I had to have that. So any way I could obtain that, it was cool with me. Like, it started a whole spree of me finding out what I was good with as far as crimes go. I guess I should start. My name is Logan Jet, currently 30 years old. Living in this city for about 4 years now, but grew up in Texas, South Texas area. Moved to Fort Worth, Dallas for majority of my later teenage life and young adult life, right? Reason I went to jail the first time, originally, is where it all started, was mostly just drug use. Like, I had a bad addiction problem with several types of prescription medications, and been pulled over probably close to 200 times for stupid traffic violations, like failure to use a blinker or just like swerving. Never crashed into anybody or nothing, but it was little things like that that would have a reason for the police to pull me over, talk to me, see that I'm intoxicated, you know, and then it's just like, starts the whole process of them trying to find out, what are you intoxicated on? What are you hiding? Search the vehicle. Oh, now you got all these other problems, you know? It's like, but because of the constant drug use, it was like, they constantly pulled me over, mess with me, but, you know, I'm from a small town, so like, half the police force knew my mom personally. So it's like, anytime I did anything, I was gonna hear about it from somebody, which kind of made my drug use like worse in a cycle, you know? Like, take pills to escape it, and that makes it worse, and just like, addiction's a hell of a thing, I guess. But I had been through that whole cycle of I want to say lesser charges and like misdemeanors or whatever. I started out smoking weed, as a lot of people did, right? But I didn't really like it, but I noticed everybody did like it, you know, everybody smoked weed. So I started selling weed at the age of 15, and not just like small time, I was selling pounds of weed every week. But most of the money that I made off of that, I just put right into prescription narcotics, hydrocodone, Xanax, Klonopin, Trazodone, you know, just any type of pill. I was all about seeing what it did. You know, it's like, it seemed okay because, you know, the doctors have it measured to a science, like every dose is the same, or at least in my head, that was my justification. So like, any scheduled prescription medication that would could get you high, I had done it at some point, but it was mostly benzos and painkillers like Oxycontin, whatever. Never really was big on like the street drugs back in my teenage years. I stayed away from them. I didn't do coke or meth or heroin or none of that. But I did the equivalent. You know, it's like Adderall and whatever. And it wasn't like, I'd go through phases. Like for 2 years I'd be strung out on Klonopin, not remember anything. Literally missing huge gaps. I can't remember from 2012 to 2014, you know. I don't know really what happened. But it's like that, there's several gaps in memory. But I would get tired of the same shit every day, so it was like I'd switch to something else, whatever was available and cheap, I guess, at the time. But again, like, being constantly messed up on some sort of prescription drug is like you're gonna get sloppy with whatever you're doing, you know. So I'm selling weed at a young teenager and just throwing money around, getting high all the time. I dropped out of school and moved out of my parents' house. Well, my parents were divorced, but moved out of my mom's house. By 16, I was like on my own, pretty much, couch hopping. At one point, I did get a place of my own, but it was just like a camper in an RV park for a small amount of time, you know. And the whole time, I'm just, as long as I had a way to provide my addiction or whatever, that I really didn't care about shit else. I had to have that. So any way I could obtain that, it was cool with me. Like, it started a whole spree of me finding out what I was good with as far as crimes go. Like, you know, you see a movie about bank robbers or something and you would think you can be better at it because you're stupid high. So like, I started breaking into people's houses, doing burglaries. Like, I'm not even 18 years old yet. I'm breaking into people's houses that I sat there and watched for 3 weeks to make sure that they weren't home, you know, and like I could get away with it or whatever. Or car burglaries. Like, anything that was non-violent. I was never like strong arm you or something. I'm not gonna try to hurt nobody physically. I just was trying to do it behind the scenes, like nobody saw me do nothing. And that's not a good idea ever.
So you were trying to see what you could and couldn't get away with.
Yeah.
Profit off of crime.
Pushing the envelope, you know, see exactly that, just what I could get away with and how long I could do it, kind of thing, you know. So at the age of 19, I got caught in the act of a home burglary, right? It was actually somebody I knew and saw like on a regular basis. I took probably a small handful of Klonopin, was drinking tequila, and at this point in my life, I had already started using hard drugs, so I was on methamphetamine, and I just thought it was a good idea to make somebody invite this person to own the house, invite them out to have a drink or whatever, and as soon as they left the house, I went in because I knew what they had in the house, like as far as valuable shit. Well, there's two people that live there. One of them is out drinking with a friend of mine, and the other one had already left to work. Well, it just so happened they forgot their work ID, so they can't come back to get their ID to get onto their work site, you know. And I hear the truck pull up. I'm like, oh shit, you know, I'm checking the windows. Sure enough, it's the one of the roommates that lives in the house. And he comes in, and I'm just hiding. I'm like, when you walk in the door, it's a big room, and then there's like one hallway that goes to left, right. The left room in the back is basically empty. The one on the right is their bedroom, right? So, obviously I didn't go to their bedroom. I went to the empty room. But I guess maybe he heard me moving around before he came in the house, or maybe he noticed something was moved that usually wasn't. I don't know what really,
Well,
you know, he knew something was amiss. Like, as soon as he walked in, I could feel it in the air, like, he knows somebody's in here, you know? So my heart's racing. I'm like trying to duck the shadows and like tiptoe my way to the back of the house because I know that the back window's open. I opened it before I went in. That's not how I went in, but I just figured better have two exits than one.
I don't think you were smart enough for that, huh?
Actually, no. I didn't think of that. My dad thought of that.
Your your dad thought of that? It used to break into...
Oh, my dad knew that I was going to go do this at the time.
Oh.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I had learned about things of that nature, I just gathered through context of hearing my dad's stories as a younger kid, you know, because my dad has a 30-page rap sheet, you know, with several states and the FBI for different crimes he committed all throughout his life. He was like a career criminal. Seemingly, I think it probably looked like that to some people, especially my mom. But you know, we would have discussions about things like that, and he never condoned it. But he also knew that I'm going to do it regardless of what he or anybody thought about it. You know, I was already on that war.
Get caught.
Basically, yeah, is what it kind of amounted to. Is like, okay, well, look, if I can't stop you, so I might as well just maybe help you out and tell you what is probably not a good idea to do, and what might help you get away with it, or, you know, whatever the discussion was. So before I went over to that person's house and broke in, he's like, well, do you even know what you're going in there for, or are you just fucked up on drugs and you want to go do something exhilarating? You know, you're just looking for a thrill. I'm like, no, there's something valuable in the house. Guns. It was guns. And I had a plan to like sell the guns to a person already who wanted to buy them. And, like, he's like, okay, well, you never know what could happen. So, you know, just watch the place. Make sure that you wear gloves, you know, like, don't break anything. Don't toss the house, because that's immediately they're going to know somebody burgled their home if it's completely destroyed. If you already know what it is you're going after and where it's at, you could quietly pick a lock while they're not home, open the door so it doesn't look like forced entry. You could walk right to the item, take it, don't disturb anything else.
And your dad is telling you all this?
He told me all this, right? I just thought it was extremely, it's like puzzling to me still. Like, it's almost like he was kind of getting off to telling me about it. Like, he finally gets to get it off his chest. Like, that was his thing, you know, like that was his high, other than drugs. He just knowing that he got away with something, I guess. So it's like, he's telling me these stories throughout my younger life, once he got out of prison. And yeah, most of what I had already known and put into practice was something that I did hear from something that he had done in his life, you know. And he knew that, but I wouldn't say that he was like egging me on or proud of the fact, but there's a handful of times that knowing things that he had mentioned was absolutely the reason I didn't get caught, you know, for certain crimes or certain acts or whatever, activities, you know. I'll last minute remember, oh shit, do this. And it would be the one thing that saved me from going to prison before I actually went to prison. You know, it's like, all it is biding my time. I knew I was going to eventually get caught doing something, and I still didn't care, because I was strung out. So, all that aside, like, the dude came in, noticed something, and he started looking around. And I'm looking through the crack, so I'm hiding behind the door. So I'm looking through the crack of the door, and he's like noticing things left and right that are just, and then I started looking around too. Like, what is he looking at? Oh shit, I did that. Like, I was realizing how much I actually damaged and how long I had actually been in the house while I was watching him realize that somebody had been in his house. It's like, it was like simultaneously, I'm like, oh shit, you know? I look at my phone and I'm like, what time did I come over here? 'Cause it felt like 5 minutes, tops. And then I realized that, oh man, I just took half a bottle of Klonopin. I'm drunk, and I'm high on meth. So maybe it has been more than 5 minutes.
Maybe.
That's when it occurred to me that it had been like 45 minutes. And I was like...
You were in there almost an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. I got sidetracked. I had already had like the guns in a bag, you know. All what I went there for was already bagged up, ready to go. I just like, something else caught my eye. You know, I was like, oh, what's this? Looking at it, you know, and then I see something else, and then eventually there was like 2 duffel bags full of stuff. Just stuff, you know, not like anything of real value. I was just high and looking at stuff like I'm browsing at a supermarket or something. And I realized that when I was watching him wonder what the fuck was going on in his house, you know, he's like, oh, he's looking around all confused. And then at some point I was like, man, if I sit here too long, he's eventually gonna look behind this door that I'm hiding behind. I'm hit, because it's like basically an empty room. I figured it was like do or die, you know. So when I saw him cut across where the hallway was, I used that as like a cue. Okay, oh, perfect. He went that way. Now he can't see me if I go over there by the window. So I'm like, knowing in my head that if I run to the window, I still gotta open it quietly, dash out of it. What about all the stuff that's across the other side of the room? I'd have to go back and get that. So I'd have to cross his direct line of sight twice, silently. The sun has already come up, you know. I didn't think about any of that. So I'm sitting in front of the window, stressing about it, and I'm like, it's one of those cheap windows where like, you gotta push the locks in and slide it up, and they have like, they click into place, you know, at different intervals. So as soon as I lift it, you hear it like the pressure in the room just from it sticking where the foam on the outside of the glass, you know, the pressure, it's just been sitting in that spot forever. So when I lifted it, it was like opening a fridge door, you know, or has that seal on it.
Suction.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, he immediately, I seen him in my peripheral look over. he obviously heard that. And then it goes click. I'm like, fuck. So I was like, oh shit. I already saw him look. All he has to do is like move his head just a little bit more and he will see the clicking sound came from the hands opening the window. It's like he could take one step any moment and just I'd be in full view, you know, it's that type of thing. So when I heard him step, I said, oh shit, I'm hit. There's no way I can avoid it. At that point, I smashed the window. Because why sit there and fuck with it? It was giving me all kinds of trouble anyway. I just busted it. Because he already saw me anyway. I'm going now. The stuff can stay. Because the stuff can't go to jail. I can. So I busted his window. And I don't know where in my head I convinced myself that he wasn't going to recognize me. Because I wasn't wearing a mask or anything, right? I'd already taken that off in my shopping spree of the day, you know. It got hot and I was like, fuck it, whatever. And I just jumped out the window, took off on foot, jumped the fence, got caught on the fence, ripped my shirt in half, right? He's already screaming and hollering about, call the police, call the police. right? There's neighbors outside, like in the street, but I'm in the backyard now and dogs are barking. It's like 6:30 in the morning, you know? This is a quiet suburb neighborhood where, like, yeah, everybody's awake at that time, but nobody's moving around yet. They're all drinking coffee, reading the newspaper, and here I am. I look like I'm strung out at this point, and I'm jumping fences. Dogs are barking, like, man, I was a wreck. Yeah, neighbors, they're all trying to peek over the edge of the fence, you know, and it's like, I still remember a lot of it, like, vividly. And it's like a gap, and then another neighborhood, and what runs in that field is the huge metal power line structures. Like, not the wooden poles that are for residential power lines, I'm talking like the huge steel structures that, like, for the city's power grid, you know, like, so I'm like, I gotta go that way to get to my house, or to get out of this neighborhood, if anything. So I just took off running. I jumped the fence, got out of his yard, boom, I'm running, right? I didn't even make it halfway through this field. I see 3 cop cars coming, going towards the house. I'm like, oh, they ain't see me. So I just hit the ground flat. They didn't see me. I just dropped flat in the bush, and I thought, okay, what do? I'm just gonna crawl. Crawl through the tall grass until I reach the fence line of that neighborhood, and then I'm gonna go that way, the wrong way, instead of left towards where I could have maybe gotten out of the neighborhood easier, or gotten to my house even. I went right because I thought they would figure that's where he's gonna go, is home. He's gonna go straight to his house. Because I was gonna go straight to my house, and so I just like double checked my plan here. Yeah, because the dude and I, when I broke his window, we made eye contact. It was brief, but it was like we had already met before. I knew the dude, he knew me, so it's not like he's, oh, who was that? Never seen him before. No, he definitely saw me. If the police were already there, he's gonna tell them my name, give them my Facebook info, they're gonna look me up, and all that is exactly what happened. He gave him my name, looked me up on Facebook, gave him a bunch of pictures, what I look like, how old I am, everything. Facebook is a motherfucker.
Yeah, wrong turn.
So I went right, okay? I make it not even 20 yards, and I hear more cars rolling up towards that area. And now I'm kind of like, where the fuck am I gonna go, you know? Because they're, each street, you know, I hear them, and then it fades out, like they're going up and down these streets, looking for my stupid ass, and I'm in the grass, stuck. I can't go that way, can't go that way. So I just waited there for a little while to see if they would go somewhere else, give up. No, they didn't. They eventually just, like, maybe a few of them left, but then the rest of them stayed there, and they just drove really slow in laps around the block, you know, in the vicinity. I just waited for the best possible moment where I could just stand up out of the grass and literally jump over the fence. And this is not somebody's yard or even a street that I'm familiar with, because I never ran across this field before, because there's huge power lines in it. You know, I don't gotta just walk around like a normal person. No, I've never been in that particular area of that neighborhood. You know, my house was that way. So I just was like, as soon as these cars are not facing my direction, I'm gonna stand up and jump this dude's fence. So when I found that moment, jump over the fence, there's a dude in his backyard trying to see what the fuck is going on. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Every move that I made that day was like, wrong again, you know. I've made it worse and worse and worse. Well, the dude starts yelling, right? It's like, oh, he's over here. But not a single one of those cop cars came to his yard at all. So I just was like, I'm going, man, don't touch me. Went through his side gate out to the street, and then changed my mind. I was like, I'm just gonna go home, right? I'd already ran farther from it, made it hard on myself, and it was like, finally, I give up. I don't know what to do. I'm going home. I go home. The cops had already been there, inside, talked to people like where's Logan? Banging on the door. My dad was probably so pissed off. I managed to get inside my house without people like, if they did notice me, nobody said nothing. But I knew all my neighbors. They knew who I was, and we was all like friends, you know? They all kind of enjoyed the same illegal things that I did, mostly. I mean, they all got high and whatever. So when the cops came, they wasn't really talking to no cops. They was close the door, you know? So when I got into my house, I was relieved for a short amount of time. My dad was pissed off, but I guess the fact that I didn't get arrested, he was also relieved. He's like, well, fuck, you didn't go to jail. So we had a small huddle, a group huddle. What do we do? Because they already knew my name. They knew where I lived, obviously, and were looking for me. So I can't stay there, because I can't stay inside forever. Eventually they're gonna come back, or something's gonna happen. So I just go to throwing things that I own into a backpack. I'm like, okay, they're gonna be back probably within an hour or two once they figure out what they're gonna do about me. Grab some clothes, grab my drugs, you know, just do whatever I thought that I needed to go. I threw it in a backpack. I have 2 backpacks, right? I pack a bag or 2, right? I got clothes in a bag and just a whole bunch of useless shit that I'm not gonna need, right? I throw it in my dad's truck. Now, my dad agrees that I gotta get the fuck, basically. But I can't go on foot. He gotta drive me somewhere, basically, right? Now, here's the problem with that. It's not my dad's truck. He borrowed it. It's not my dad's truck. Prior to this event, my dad's car was totaled in a accident that he caused while we were leaving a cafe. But he has a truck that he borrowed from a coworker of his, right?
Yeah.
Everything on the vehicle is shot. The tags are out. The license plate does not match the vehicle. Like, nothing is legit on this truck. It's an all-white, dented up pickup truck, and it's loud. So we're both looking at each other like, fuck it. You know, what else are you gonna do? So I throw my bag in his truck, and we proceed to go down the highway, right? I want to say not even 5 minutes later, there is a police vehicle on the side of us, in front of us, and behind us, going down the highway towards downtown Fort Worth. I was just gonna drop off at like any convenience store, you know? Just like, take me downtown, pull in somewhere where it's like out of view from anybody, and I'll just dip out and call you when I call you. I'll figure it out from there, right? No. I didn't even make it halfway to downtown before the cops was like surrounding the vehicle as we're driving. And I'm like, Do you think that's for us? Like, obviously, right? So, needless to say, I got pulled over, or my dad got pulled over. I wasn't driving. They already knew my name and everything. They had a picture of me already, like, printed out from my Facebook. And they run up to the driver's side, like, unlock the vehicle. I'm like, well, Pops, you know, thanks anyway. Fuck, I'm going to jail. And they come to my side of the truck, you know, asked me my name. I lied about it. They're looking at me like I'm stupid because they already knew my name. It's like written right above my face in the picture, you know? I'm like, that's not me. That ain't me. Nah, that's a blurry picture. That's not even close. It don't even look like me. They pulled me out the truck and put me in handcuffs, right? As they're putting me in handcuffs, you know what fell out of my pocket? About 30 Klonopin that I just stole from the house that they're questioning me about. So this whole storyline was the main event in my younger life that caused me to have so much friction with law enforcement and be in and out of jail. Like, yeah, the drug abuse was what started the catalyst, you know, put me in the wrong mindset, environment, whatever. But this was the charge that I caught that gave me the most troubles legally, like in and out of jail, in and out of courtrooms, in and out of my own family's fucking places and friends, because like they don't want to deal with this shit either. At some point it just becomes a burden, and then you start to feel like a fuck up, basically. Well, because you are at that point. Like, they don't want you around, you don't want to be around. Make yourself scarce, because it's like embarrassing, kind of, or like it's a strong sense of guilt or shame, kind of, with everything that follows that lifestyle choice, if you want to call it that. Anyway, they took me to jail, and I probably sat there like a month before I went to court. I signed for 6 years deferred adjudication, which is probation, basically. And if I complete it successfully, the shit don't go on my record, right? No felony record. Cool. I didn't give a fuck about that. I just signed it because they told me they was gonna let my ass out of jail. That was like green light to go do whatever the fuck I wanted and run away from my problems. So that's what I did. I took the probation and left the jail. And didn't go back to the jail, didn't report to my PO. Like, I've reported one time and then was, this is dumb. I had 6 years of this? Fuck that, no. So I absconded immediately. I immediately went against the rules and regulations of my probation. They told me I gotta check in every week, I gotta do this and that, and take drug tests. I went one time, met my PO, pissed in a cup, failed, and then was like, all right, I'll see you next time? No. I said that. Had no intention of doing it. I didn't follow through with that at all. I didn't even try to go to my next probation meeting. Like, I just forgot about all of it immediately on purpose. It's like, I'm not trying to hear that shit. I'm not trying to go have somebody tell me what to do and how to live and whatever. If you're not a cop arresting me in the act of a crime, and even if that was the case, I'm still not going to listen to you. I just wasn't trying to hear it from nobody, law enforcement or not. It just, all of this combined gave me such a shitty perspective on how to interact with people in general. Like, I didn't want to talk to nobody because you was probably going to get me in trouble or call the police or just, no, everybody was a target at that point. I ended up getting pulled over because I moved back to my hometown, which is South Texas. And I got pulled over one night for not having a light on my license plate, which was stupid. I did have one. It just, I guess I gotta have two. You know, I don't know. That's what they said. No license plate light. That was a traffic violation, but it pulled up the fact that I had warrants. You know, like several counties away. So they had a field day with that. As soon as they saw that pop up in the system, their mood went from, well, so I'm gonna write you this ticket, man, go get it taken care of, to put your hands behind your back, you're going to jail. I'm like, what? They was too happy to take me to jail. So when I got to jail that time, I sat there for 7 months. 7 months without going to court, without anything. You know why? Because I got caught with a bunch of other felonies the day they took me to jail. It wasn't just the warrants and all that. I had drugs on me. So that county charged me with the possession and manufacture and delivery of an unlawful controlled substance, something like that. There's 2 different charges. Basically, I had 8 grams of methamphetamines in my pocket, and it was in separate bags. So they thought I was trying to sell meth. Oh, I was trying to do that. I sat there for 7 months. Tarrant County came and got me from my county and took me to a different jail. They're like, oh yeah, roll it up. You're leaving. I'm like, I'm leaving? Bet. I'm leaving. I'm going home. Fuck. That's what's up. No. They changed me out, put me in my clothes, gave me my stuff back, and then I see a cop walking up to me with handcuffs. I haven't even made it outside the jail yet. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Some kind of sick joke? He's like, stand up, put your hands behind your back. I'm like, God damn, I'm sitting here, what did I do? Oh, we're just transferring you to a different county that you have warrants in. I'm like, man, what the fuck? What kind of stupid game are y'all running? It's not how it's supposed to work. No, that is how it works. Sat there for 7 months, went to a new jail, went to a different jail. I sat in that jail for roughly the same amount of time. I think I sat there for 5 months before they finally was just like, look, the judge doesn't want to give you any type of light sentence because of the way you've been conducting yourself due to these charges on this particular case, whatever. I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, it means that your judge is an asshole. He's trying to give you 12 years to teach you a lesson. But I have managed to talk him into 4 if you sign today and get out of his way. He doesn't want to see you again. I'm like, won't y'all just tell that shit to everybody? That the judge is trying to be harsh and you got him a good deal? He's like, would you rather have 5? I'm like, okay, I'll take the pen. Give me the pen. Sign for 4 years on the burglary charge, right? So I waited around some more months to get rolled up out of the county jail and go to a fucking prison. It was a hurricane or something that happened in this whole like time frame. A hurricane hit my hometown, wiped out half of it. Houston got wiped out pretty bad too. So like that was all over the news. As I'm waiting to go to prison, I'm watching the news of a helicopter footage of my apartment building that is now just a pile of bricks on the ground. I'm like, well, now I don't have nowhere to go if I do get out of jail. So I might as well ride this bitch out all the way. So I just started acting up like an idiot because what's the worst that could happen now? While I was in prison, yeah, fuck it. Because, I'm not getting money and stuff sent to me very often at all. Like, I think maybe a few times throughout 3 years of sitting there, like a handful of times maybe. I got a family or a friend of mine to like send me 30-40 bucks, and I had to stretch that. So I'm doing everything it is illegal, of course, in prison to afford the same shit that I was trying to afford outside of prison. But mostly just to have any type of money in prison is like so much stress relief right there, just knowing you have $20 in your account, because you don't know when they're gonna come lock you down in prison. Yeah, you ever been through a lockdown? It's where they just make you sit on your bunk for 3 weeks. No, you can't get up. They go through everybody's stuff, take all the contraband and whatever, and they will not let you up off that bunk unless you gotta piss, shit, shower, or eat. That's it. You're just confined to that bunk until they go through everybody's belongings to make sure that nobody has anything illegal. When really they just throw all your stuff onto a sheet somewhere, tell you you're good, go, you're good, go, whatever. Unless they find something interesting. That's every 6 months. So I'm just like, by the time you get comfortable and get your shit situated to your preference, oh, no, they're gonna come through and take all of it and throw it away. And then destroy the rest of it. It's like, just to fuck with you, yeah, basically. So I talked to the parole board, they gave me a discharge date. I'm like, looking forward to it at this point. So I thought going into this, or leaving out of this facility, that I was immediately just gonna fuck up. I've been fucking up so long, so often. That's what even I expected at that point. Like, I know everybody else expects me to fuck up. They'll be like, yeah, I'll get out for a few months, fuck up, and go back until they finally just let me out, because they can't hold me anymore. It's signed a deal on parole. Like, I thought I was gonna get out on parole and immediately fuck that up, like fail a drug test or miss a parole meeting or whatever it is, anything that I normally would have done. But I don't know what drove me to not do those things when I got out, but for 19 months straight, I did not have any issues. I passed all my drug tests. I went to every meeting. I even went to an addiction group, like NAAA type shit. I got a job, got a house, got a car, a dog, a girlfriend, and then finished parole successfully, because I got off drugs pretty much. Or I had been off drugs because of being in prison for so long that I just was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna stay off drugs. Put myself in like a 3/4 house, like, which is basically random people collectively throw their money towards the rent, and don't know each other from Adam, but it's a sober living type thing. Like, every week, everybody in the household would sit down, go over the finances, and if we thought that somebody was getting high or drinking or whatever, then we'd throw them out. But it wasn't like a boarding room or anything. It was an actual house. Like an Oxford house is what it was called. Everybody had their own room, and then they just like shared the amenities. So yeah, it's like a support group type thing. And we just kept each other like basically in line. Yeah. I think I was the only one on parole or any type of state supervision or whatever. But although that caused a lot of problems for me, it didn't cause problems for nobody else. So it worked out, right? I got sober, right? And then once I completed my parole, I took my brand new car down to my hometown and went and found my mom and my little brother and was like, "What's up?" I just rolled up on them, you know. They didn't even know I had a car or nothing. Like, didn't even recognize me, which kind of fucked me up a little bit. As I walk up on my little brother, he looks up and then looks back down at his phone like, yeah, he didn't even recognize me. He was like, missed it. I'm like, say, bitch, you just not gonna say hi or what? You know? He looked up all crazy like, what the fuck? And then he had to really look at me. Oh shit. When did you get here? I'm like, I drove here from Dallas last night. I just got here, literally 8 minutes ago. You know? Went and found him, like, pulled up on him. Thankfully not parole anymore, but at that point, like, I did have other things going on that, like, I kept up with on top of a job. And in that whole time frame of me, like, trying to put myself in a better situation, willingly wanting to do that, and did it on my own, basically. Like, I wasn't having somebody just tell me to do that. I just, at some point, was like, I'm not trying to go back to prison. I'm not trying to see the same type of people, none of that. And that all was just stemming from a drug addiction. But it's behavior patterns too, you know. Once you set in your ways, you set in your ways. But I mean, anybody could change for the better or for the worse. I just wanted it to be for better. And I actively, like, made an effort every day to stay away from certain downfalls that I've repeatedly had in the past. I haven't had a chance to process mentally or emotionally or spiritually. And that has a draining effect on me regularly, daily sometimes. Yeah, it's to the point where I had lost like the ability to care about anything for a long time. I still get like that sometimes. I still battle anxiety, depression, PTSD, just from I put myself through all this dumb shit, and then a lot of worse things happen because of it that are directly related to my behavior or activities that I carried out by myself. Like, I caused a lot of shit, not just for me, but anybody around me. Even if I didn't know you, you stood around me, you probably may have been negatively affected by something I did at some point. Then I started feeling guilty about that because, like, my dad passed away right after I got out of jail. You know what I'm saying? And then my mom and I still barely talk. Hardly have a relationship at all. My sister kind of stood by my side the whole time, wanted me out of jail, brought me to this state currently that I'm living in. And I haven't talked to her in like a year and a half, roughly, maybe 2 years. Not for any reason other than, like, I just feel like at some point she's not gonna want to be around. So I just have pushed everybody out of my life, because if I don't, I feel like they will. And if I do it, then they won't feel bad about doing it, and they won't see it gradually happen. But if they do it, it's going to be a resentment that they never let go of. So, out of sight, out of mind. I see your social media posts. I know that y'all are good. I'm cool with that. But if I step in and say hi, then they're gonna try to offer me a hand and try to, you know, reconnect and see what's been going on in my life and whatever the fuck. They're gonna ask me questions that are gonna lead to answers that they don't like and that I don't want to say anyway. So it's just gonna be like, you're letting me back in. It's gonna be a problem for both of us. And then what? Then we're gonna eventually not talk to each other at all. Family, friends, I've isolated myself from all of them. So I don't lose them. Does that make sense? What would I tell them? Well, I would tell them the truth. And I would tell them not what I think they should do or what I would suggest, because my best thinking led me nowhere. I would just tell them what I did and let that be an example of which way it could go, I guess. But really, I would probably not tell them anything. I would just ask them something, because they probably tired of being told shit. You know, maybe they just wanted a friend or something. Maybe they just wanted you to shut the fuck up and listen. Because I know that's what I wanted 1,000 times and nobody would fucking hear me. So, hey, y'all ain't trying to hear me, I'm not trying to hear you. That's how it goes, right? Well, seemingly that's how people tend to feel. That quote right there, that's how it goes. It is what it is. Oh man, it's not. People just use that as a cop-out. If I was going to tell anybody anything and they were at that point in their life where they could care less which way it went, I would just tell them to think twice. Not about what they're wanting to do. If you want to lash out, lash out. You want to fight somebody, whatever. I'll help you. But it's not what you should think about. It's not the immediate loss that you're going to take if you fucking do anything that I did. If you just turn to drugs or violence or whatever, it's gonna wind you up. And, you know, you've probably heard 1,000 times: jail or dead or a hospital. You know, that's guaranteed. You should just try to think about the loss that you're gonna take later on that you don't even know yet, like what loss that is gonna be. You might end up suffering from various mental health issues, anxiety, depression, insomnia, PTSD, night terrors, restless leg syndrome. I got that sometimes. It's like I get stressed or nervous, I can't stop shaking my fucking leg until I'm not nervous anymore, which makes me want to take drugs, because if I take a Xanax right now, I'll stop shaking because I won't be nervous, because that's what it's for. But it also sent me into a relapse, you know. The loss you're going to take in the future, though, could be anything. It could be your physical health, it could be your child or parent or best friend or your dog, your girlfriend. You could lose any of those in many different ways. Like, they might just decide to leave you behind, or they might die because of something that you did. Man, you don't want that shit on your conscience, I promise you, because it just exacerbates the problem, you know. I wouldn't probably tell them anything that they hadn't heard before. I would just ask them what they had to say. Probably get better results.